A special thank you to each of our subscribers who make this channel possible. Here's today's story. In a significant move that has stirred both support and opposition, the West Virginia National Guard is set to deploy between 300 to 400 skilled personnel to Washington, D.C. This decision comes as President Trump's administration intensifies its efforts to overhaul policing in the nation's capital, a city that has seen its fair share of political turmoil and protests surrounding issues of crime and governance. The mobilization of these troops follows an executive order from President Trump, which federalizes local police forces and activates around 800 D.C. National Guard troops already stationed in the city. According to reports, some troops are expected to begin carrying weapons in the coming days, a move that has raised eyebrows and concerns among local residents and officials. West Virginia Governor Patrick Morrisey expressed pride in supporting the president's initiative, stating that the National Guard will provide mission-essential equipment, specialized training, and approximately 300 to 400 skilled personnel as directed. This deployment is being funded at the federal level and is touted as a commitment to public safety and regional cooperation. However, the necessity of this intervention is being questioned, especially given that violent crime rates in Washington, D.C. have reportedly decreased over the past year. Data from the Justice Department indicates that violent crime in the city hit its lowest point in over 3 decades in 2024. Critics of the federal intervention, including D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser, have labeled the takeover of policing as an authoritarian push. Mayor Bowser has voiced concerns about the implications of federal control over local law enforcement, emphasizing the importance of maintaining the city's self-governance. The political landscape in D.C. has become increasingly fraught, with tensions escalating following a series of incidents that have drawn national attention. One such incident involved the assault of a young man, known online as Big Balls, during an attempted carjacking, which President Trump cited as a catalyst for the federal response. The president's rhetoric has painted a picture of a city plagued by crime, which he claims necessitates federal intervention. However, local officials argue that the narrative of rampant violence is misleading, pointing to statistical evidence that suggests a decline in crime rates. In response to the federalization of local police, D.C. Attorney General Brian Schwalb has celebrated a recent court ruling that upheld the city's right to maintain control over its police force. The court found that the Trump administration's attempts to assert control over the Metropolitan Police Department were unlawful, allowing the D.C. government and current police chief Pamela Smith to retain authority. This ruling has been hailed as a victory for local governance, with Schwalb asserting that the decision reinforces the principles of home rule in the district. As the National Guard prepares for deployment, the presence of federal agents and troops has sparked protests across the city. Demonstrators gathered in DuPont Circle, voicing their opposition to what they perceive as a military occupation and calling for an end to the federal takeover. Holding banners that read, "No Fascist Takeover of D.C." Protesters marched towards the White House to express their discontent with the current administration's approach to crime and policing. The situation remains fluid, with more states potentially following West Virginia's lead in sending National Guard troops to the capital. A White House official has indicated that the National Guard's role has not changed, asserting that additional troops will be called in to support law enforcement efforts. The implications of this federal intervention could resonate beyond the borders of Washington, D.C., as it raises fundamental questions about the balance of power between local and federal authorities. As the D.C. government navigates this unprecedented challenge, city leaders are tasked with finding a way to cooperate with federal mandates while maintaining their commitment to local governance. The unfolding events in Washington, D.C. serve as a critical reminder of the complexities surrounding law enforcement, public safety, and the ongoing struggle for democratic representation in the nation's capital. With the deployment of the West Virginia National Guard and the federalization of local police, the city stands at a crossroads, grappling with the implications of these actions on its residents and governance. As the situation evolves, the eyes of the nation will undoubtedly remain fixed on Washington, D.C., watching closely how these developments will shape the future of policing and public safety in the capital. That's all for this story. We upload videos every day covering many different subjects, so hit that subscribe button to stay informed. Thanks for watching.